on tonight's NFL Network air at 8 Eastern Time is some must-see television. Brian Dawkins of Football Life. Brian Dawkins here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Pro Football Hall of Famer Brian Dawkins?
I am blessed, Rich. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing fine. Have you seen the piece yet? Have you seen the hour?
I have not. I have not seen it. So as everybody else sees it, I'll be seeing it for the first time as well.
Okay, you will be seeing it as well. I mean, what has your recollections of the Hall of Fame weekend been? Now, just a couple of months removed from it, Brian. Your speech was quite something else, to say the least.
Yeah, it was from my heart, 100% from my heart, and just the beginning of things that are going to happen going forward. I've already started some of the things that I've been doing in my Better Man challenges and my Better Man conference. So, like, to be able to have that experience, to go down to the Hall of Fame, to see all the legends, and to experience that and have the experience that I've had with the Eagles fans, with the Broncos fans, and to really be able to allow them to see inside of me. And that's what I tried to do on stage. I tried to be as transparent as possible, to be able to bless people, to help people going through some of the things that they may be going through. So that's, in a quick synopsis, that's kind of what that Hall of Fame was for me.
And do you think, are you prepared, or do you know if tonight's Football Life is going to include part of your internal mental struggles at all, Brian?
It will, because that's something that I made sure that we talked about, because I think it's extremely important to have those conversations to let people know that, they're not the only ones going through what they're going through. And, that it's, and like I said in my speech, there is hope on the other side. There's hope. There's hope. And to get caught up where you are and to remain where you are, like, I would have never been able to see the man that I am today had I got caught up and stayed where I was in those times of displeasure and pain.
Now, when I was interviewing you in those years of consecutive Pro Bowls, and obviously McNabb on offense and Reed and all those years where you were contenders for the Super Bowl, made it one year, you were struggling with happiness at that time?
No, not necessarily. So that's the thing about it. It's not a continuous thing. It's not an always thing. It's something that can creep up and come and go, and that's one thing that I think we throw terms around too loosely. Depression and the like. I think sometimes it's just you're going through some turbulence in your life. Sometimes it's just a whole bunch of stuff hit you at the same time, and you're having some adverse reactions as far as emotions are concerned. I think we just throw the terms around too loosely, so that when someone is actually going through something that is very substantial, I think that it gets kind of washed into everything. So, going through some of the things that I went through in the beginning of my career is what I really tried to focus on in my speech, because that is where a lot of pressure was upon me. That's what a lot of things. I didn't have the answers. I didn't have the mental aptitude. I didn't have the spiritual aptitude to be able to deal with the things that was coming towards me. So there was a lot of negativity. There's a lot of things that were happening, chemical reactions in my head that was actually happening as well, that brought a lot of negativity to my mind, a lot of thoughts to my mind, a lot of things to my mind that caused those thoughts to come up, those suggestions even for myself to do specific things to myself, to like I said, to commit suicide. So, like, that's not a continuous thing. It's not a every moment of the day type of thing. I wanted to make sure I focused on that part of my life, but I also know that going forward in my life, that is something that is always there. It's always in the back corner, just waiting for an opportunity to give me those negative thoughts. And that's why, for me, I do specific things in my life. I'm a disciplined individual. I do specific things in my life now that help ward off a lot of those things that would try to even creep back into my thoughts.
Football Life with Brian Dawkins tonight on NFL Network at 8 Eastern Time. Could not be a more deserving recipient of a Football Life as well as a Pro Football Hall of Fame acceptance and enshrinement. Brian Dawkins here on the Rich Eisen Show. What'd you think of the Eagles last night, Brian? What'd you think of that one?
Yeah, they got back to playing the game like they're supposed to play it, with a chip, playing with an edge. And you saw that offensively and defensively. Obviously, there's always going to be something that you need to fix. and they stopped hurting themselves. I think in their losses, they had a whole bunch of self-inflicted wounds, so to speak. A lot of offsides, a lot of holding, penalties, putting themselves behind the sticks on offense, staying on the field defensively with a pass interference call or something like that, giving up big plays. So those are the type of things that they were hurting themselves with a little bit in those games. And I think last night you really saw them hopefully put a lot of those things to bed, and hopefully they'll begin to play more consistent.
Yeah, I think. Where do you think they get that grit from? Do you think it's Wentz being able to play the way that he is, the play calling from the coach, the mindset from who? Where do you think the grit comes from in Philadelphia?
Well, the grit, obviously, your quarterback, having him back at the helm, is a huge plus, obviously, because, at one point he was the MVP of the National Football League last year. Let's just be honest with it. And so to have him back in the helm doing what he does, the way that he's able to do it, that excites the sideline of your defensive player watching him on the football field doing it the way that he does it, escaping and, running out. Still like for him to get down and slide quicker and stop taking those hits, but that's another conversation. But I personally love the fact that they lost early, and I honestly love the fact that they lost a couple of games in a row, because it really lets you know what you have. It really lets you know what you need to work on. Now you really can have tough conversations. You really can call cats to the carpet and really talk about some stuff, and then you see what type of team you have. Is it a lot of finger pointing? And if it is, you need to take care of it. And leaders need to then step up to have the conversations they need to have. It's not about calling people out sometimes. It's about sometimes pulling somebody to the side and letting them know, hey, this is how we're going to have to fix what we're doing. And what you're doing is not helping. So I like the fact that they lost. I know I'm crazy. I know that's, but coming off of a Super Bowl and not knowing what it feels like to have to try to defend, I like the fact that they lost early. Games that didn't get blown out in for the most part. There's things that they could have done to actually win those games. They actually lost a couple of games I believe they should have won. But at the same time, once again, now you really can hold cats, to a higher standard because you're losing. And now you can talk about difficult things that you probably couldn't talk about when you lose. When you're winning.
Well, there's a lot of difficult things that need to be talked about in New York now after what the Eagles did last night, certainly with Eli Manning, somebody who was playing in the secondary in Philadelphia when Eli first arrived in New York, and you watched him ascend to his first Super Bowl victory season in 2007. You played him twice a year. Now seeing him at the very end, do you think he is at the end? Do you think it's over for Eli, Brian Dawkins?
I don't think it's over, let's just close the casting on the dude. I think if you look at when Eli had his success, and it's documented, he had protection. He was able to step into his throws. And when he does not, and he can't step into his throws, when he doesn't feel that comfort, his eyes tend to come down. And he begins to bail out of the back of the pocket or throw off his back foot or leaning back away from his throws because he doesn't trust the protection in front of him. And so that's been on the Giants that they have not shored that up, that offensive line up for long. Now you have to me, this is going to be an all-pro back real soon in the backfield, being able to run the ball and catch the ball out of the backfield. So they have a tremendous weapon there. But until they shore that line up, give Eli the chance to step into throws and to really feel comfortable in the pocket, then you won't see the guy that helped win those Super Bowls, because he got into some comfort in those runs that he was beginning to move the offense, to move the ball, and you can see a lot of that had to do with the protection. So until they protect that dude, it's going to look just as ugly as it's been.
Then I got about 90 seconds left here. For a guy who used to put on that breathe right and transform himself, you called yourself the idiot man when you put that breathe right on in Philadelphia. What advice would you give to Odell about playing under control?
Well, you have to challenge it the right way. I mean, I love the energy. I love all those things. I really do. I love the fact, the passion that he has. But you have to challenge it the right way. It can't be in such a way that you're hurting your ball club. When you start having the media going to your teammates, asking them about what you're doing, you're becoming a distraction to the team. So as much as you love the game, as much as I love the fact that he has these emotions for it, you have to learn to channel it in the right way, to utilize it in the right way, and not have it that you now have the coach have to answer questions. Eli has to answer questions. Now Bartley, they're going to be continuously asking questions about what they think about Odell and what he's doing. No, that should not be the case. Use that energy that you have in the right way and actually benefit the team.
Hey, Brian, it was awesome having a front row seat for your enshrinement after having watched you play and become the man that you are and be the man that you are. First member of Clemson football and the Pro Football Hall of Fame representing the Eagles, and now tonight on A Football Life. I can't wait to see it. Congrats on everything going on with you.
Still can't believe it. I still can't believe this young small-looking safety from Jacksonville, Florida, has the chance to now see himself in a football life. I thought that was for big timers, and to see myself on that stage, on that screen tonight, and seeing my family and my friends get interviewed, talking about me, it's an absolute blessing. It's an absolute blessing.
You deserve it. Let's chat again soon, Brian. Thanks for the call.
Absolutely.
You
Appreciate
bet.
it.
You got it. That's Brian Dawkins, Football Life Brian Dawkins, tonight on the NFL Network.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.